So here's a new way to think of anger. And what I want you to do is think of your anger on a 1 through 10 scale. And the goal is to interrupt the anger cycle before you get to a 5 on this scale, where 1 is calm, peaceful, serene, 5 is slightly annoyed, and 10 is something like enraged or furious. So whenever you get up on the upper end of the scale, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're in trouble. It's gone too far. Pretty much you're going to be out of control. You're going to say and do hurtful things, and it's just hard to get the emotional mind back in the box. So the idea is to really become aware before it gets to a 5, when you're at a 1, 2, 3, or 4, take steps to intervene and interrupt the anger cycle, and then act in a positive way, or be more assertive so that it doesn't get up to the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 part. And there are studies that have shown in the past few years that we have actually a third of a second, 0.33 seconds, within which we can interrupt that anger cycle. Now I know it seems like a very short amount of time. And in the real world, it is. But in the world of your mind, it's an eternity. And you can practice it and make it an eternity so that you've got more and more perceived time to do things like, once you feel angry, remind yourself, okay, I'm starting to get angry. I need to take a couple deep breaths. Or I need to take a time out. I'm going to excuse myself and go to the bathroom where I can calm down. Or say to your spouse, can we talk about this later? I'm tired right now. Or do something like count backwards from 10. Or think of a pleasant thought. Think of a woman you think is gorgeous, supermodel, TV star, movie star. Any of those things will help derail that thought train that is anger. And it will help bump that anger down this scale 1 or 2 or 3 points. All right? So all things that you've heard before, but perhaps not in that time frame. So now I want you to consider, how quickly does your anger take you over? Because for some people it comes up slowly, and it just builds and builds and builds, and it can stay in there for days, weeks, months, even years. But when it comes out, watch out, man, because you're going to get some lava spewing on you, and it's going to hurt. So for some of us it builds slowly and then erupts. For some of us it just takes place in like a fraction of a second. And the clients I've talked to who have taken like baseball bats to cars, or guitars to walls, or punched walls and made holes in them, or destroyed doors, they tell me that the anger comes over them so quickly that they're not even aware that it happens. And they only become aware that they were angry after the fact, and they say, I don't even really remember being angry. I just kind of come out of it and look around and there's this destruction. You know, plates are smashed or the window's broken after the event. And they think to themselves, well, there's no way I can change this because I don't have any control over it. Well, that's just not true. You do have control over it. You can manage it, I should say. And part of it is tuning into your body and understanding what the cues are to look for in your body, like an increased heart rate, and what are the triggers that begin to make you angry. And then once you got those two down, you can start to stretch the time between when the feeling of anger comes over you and some of the strategies you can put into place to interrupt that anger cycle. And then for some people, both these can occur, so you've got a slow build-up followed by a sudden eruption. So again, one of the goals is to increase your bodily awareness. So tune into those clues that give you a tip-off that your anger is coming. You want to know when you're slightly annoyed or slightly irritated, because then you can do something to change the course. Once it gets to 7, 8, 9, 10, then you've got the volcano. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit more about anger so you know what's coming, you know what to expect, because it's critical that you can make these differentiations within certain emotions so you understand them better, therefore you feel like you've got a greater sense of control and you can manage them better. So one of the 4 types of anger is anger itself. This is anger directed inward. This is anger that we stuff. This anger sits inside of us and festers. It eats away at our insides. And most of us do this about, pardon me, most of us do this with about 90% of our anger. We turn it inside, we sit and we stuff it and we contain it. Not healthy, not good. I'll teach you different ways of doing it. Second type is anger at others. This is anger directed outward. And when you get angry and start to yell at somebody or rage, it can build and build and build, and often can lead to destructive acts, physical acts of violence. The problem is that this usually comes out at the wrong person, at the wrong time, and in the wrong manner, because being human will typically get mad at someone who's safer rather than getting mad at the right person. So we'll get mad like, let's say our boss gets mad at us at work, and we come home and we get mad at our kids. It's the old saying, shit rolls downhill. So if you've got a big family, let's say a family of 6, dad might get angry at mom because dad got yelled at work, mom gets mad at the oldest kid gets mad at the second child gets mad at the third child gets mad at the fourth child. It doesn't happen immediately, but it does tend to happen that way. Oh, and then the fourth child kicks the dog. The third type of anger is disappointment. And this is a blend, actually, of anger and sadness. And there's anger and sadness because it typically involves a judgment that has not been met. So you think to yourself, well, that guy shouldn't be talking to my wife in that manner, or he shouldn't be standing that close to her, or he shouldn't be touching her back. The word should is usually a tip-off that our thinking is off base. Judgments are deadly. Judgments assume that we know what is best for someone else, and we're rarely in a position to make that choice. So be alert and watch for the word should or ought in your thoughts. Very dangerous words. They can often lead to trouble. And then the fourth kind of anger is constructive anger. So there's actually a positive type of anger, and that's anger that prompts you to act in a positive, constructive manner, simply to remove an obstacle from your path. And I think one of the best examples that I can come up with that most people are familiar with is Jesus going into the marketplace when there was arms dealers and money changers in the marketplace, and they were using the temple as a marketplace. So he goes into the temple quite angry and starts turning over the tables of the money changers, saying this is a place of worship, not a place to be doing commerce or business. And so that was anger from Jesus, which you don't see a whole lot of, but anger used towards constructive ends. The constructive ends being returning the temple to temple status, not a marketplace.